guys, Adam here, Blackfyre Productions. Welcome back to another episode of World War Marvel. Today is a special day because we are not doing a battle report. That is right, we are not doing a battle report. What? Curtis and I are together, and we're not doing a battle report. What is going on? So we chatted during our last match, which was filmed 2 days ago.
Yes.
And we're like, had a brainstorm idea at the end, if you haven't, during our After Asher report. We went over a bunch of detail and a bunch of information, talking about a lot of stuff and going in depth about the game and everything else, and then about off-track stuff like where Sabretooth goes great and stuff like this. And that sort of led us into this idea of let's sit down and let's go over our rosters that we're going to be using for the next battle report. So this is going to be a tactics video. I am not a master of this game, but I've played it enough that I can do well.
Don't sell yourself short either, though.
No. I can do well. I can do well. I'm decent, you know what I mean? But I am not like a pro. I don't sit down and like find the most game-busting combos and stuff like that. I usually play for more theme, but I like the rosters that have a good mix of things that they can do and offer, and so and you're super skilled as well. Like you've done a ton of reps with TTC.
Yeah, the TTS
or
league.
TTS. Sorry, TTC. That's
and,
Toronto Transit System, I think, or TTS. Is, yeah, whatever. And so, like, you've got those themes, you're going into Las Vegas Open, and you're competing down there because you won a qualifier event for that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You've been on a couple of podcasts, one podcast, talking about your...
2 now, yeah.
A-Force.
Talking about A-Force, and...
which is awesome.
Got made fun of for the Brotherhood game on the channel where you destroyed my She-Hulk. But I learned a lot.
You did. Well, I also had a very killy list with that one, being A, Magneto, B, Scarlet Witch, and C, Juggernaut. It just like people that just wreck face. And so why don't you sort of like we're doing these tactics things. What is your focus for today for your roster for this tactics review? And remember, this is going to be the team that he will use in the next battle report that will feature us. So what are you bringing today? Like what affiliations?
So I'm bringing Avengers today, and it's going to be a completely 100% Avengers list, which isn't that much to brag about because they have about 25 characters anyway. They have no shortage of great ones.
If you have a character, chances are they'll be an Avenger.
They're probably Avengers, yeah. And I'm going to be running though Steve or Sam's leadership building the list around that, and really taking advantage of what happens when really good characters get even cheaper superpowers under Steve's leadership, and
it's so true.
And just how that can be very, very strong
and wreck face.
Yeah. And, it's not be overly complicated to play. Like especially newer to the game, it's a nice, simple, good leadership to start out on, and it happens to be really good.
Yes,
so
I agree.
So we'll start there.
That's awesome. I'm going to be featuring Brotherhood on my team and roster today. The idea behind my guys are complete damage output, but with the ability to flex into some objective play. I do have two heroes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, they're not heroes. Let's be honest. I guess Magneto is right, but hey, that's another conversation here. But two leaders with 2 different leadership bonuses, both for Brotherhood. So I have a roster that can flex into either one with some really heavy hitting characters, and then some good scenario plays as well, capabilities. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on for that. So how we're going to do this is we're going to, instead of just sitting here talking to you, we're going to show you the rosters and everything that we're playing with, go over what we've brought, the characters and that, and if we have anything that's really cool, like plays that you could use yourself in your matches, or things to think about, we're going to show you how that works on the board. Maybe not roll dice, but like just be like, hey, you can do this. If you, like, as an X-Men player, I love my X-Men, being able to jump off of somebody to the far side and stealing somebody's extract from their side of the board, and then pulling said individual back with with, to me, my X-Men into safety range, like that, like things like that. If we think of those, which we're going to come up with a few,
definitely,
we'll show those during these matches as well. So
perfect.
I think that's about it. That covers everything, right?
Yeah. Let's get into these rosters.
Well, guys, before we do, I gotta give a big shout out to Torchlight Games and Hobbies, based out of Burlington, Ontario, Canada. Check the link in the description of the video down below, and if you're liking the content here, also check our Patreon link, and you can support the channel through there. So, without further ado, let's jump into this tactics video, and hopefully you guys enjoy. So here we are, Tactics Video 101. We're going to start off with Curtis and his Avengers. So Curtis, how do you want to go about this? This is your roster. It's your show at this point in time, dude. You got a plan in your head. Let's see it on the board. You got some neat tricks. You're setting up some stuff here to sort of talk about, I see, with your team. So where would you like to go first? Do you want to introduce the characters that you're bringing?
Yeah.
As well as your tactics cards and your crises?
Yeah, definitely. So I'll go through some of the characters. Now, I really wanted to bring Iron Man a lot, and he's going to be kind of the centerpiece character of my Avengers today. So when I started building my roster, I'm bringing good old Captain America Steve Rogers, and I'm going to bring Iron Man for sure. They have a great card, Ricochet Blast, that can be played together. So I do have Avengers Assemble and Ricochet Blast as some of my tactics. And
didn't quite see them there.
I'll lay them out right in front here.
There you go.
So I got Avengers Assemble, Ricochet Blast, and Helios Laser Bombardment.
Oh, so good.
Right? Often I can bring both of those cards in a game. You can get Ricochet Blast off, usually potentially turn 1, mostly turn 2 though, and then save Helios for later in the game when the power's really ramping up. So from there, what I wanted to do was take advantage of Steve's leadership and move some characters who had a 2-power throw that would get reduced to 1 power that can be used on turn 1 with Steve's leadership. So I can start throwing models right away. So I'm bringing the big guy Hulk, and then I'm also going to bring Vision at 4 threat and Beast at 3 threat. So Beast is someone that doesn't get a lot of play in Avengers. He shows up a lot more in X-Men. But I'll show you a few tactics that makes Beast really strong in Avengers. And hopefully in the game next week we'll get to see a few of those. So then I also want to bring some mobile characters. And Avengers has some very high mobility characters already in Black Panther. I'll bring Sam Wilson and Black Widow. They're all long movers and have the ability to really get around the board. And both Black Panther and Sam also have some very good control effects that are even better when a lot of their stuff is only 1 power. It doesn't feel very fair how much access Avengers has to amazing characters, and so I definitely plan on bringing them. And then I don't have a 5 threat in the list, and I feel I really need someone that can dish out a lot of damage.
You mean Hulk isn't good enough? Well, because he's 6, right? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, why not bring more?
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Right, I'm talking to the Brotherhood player who's gonna, bring Magneto and Apex Predator, all those things.
Hey, yes, I agree.
So I'm gonna bring my own Brotherhood and Avengers member and bring Scarlet Witch.
I like it.
And her ability with No More Mutants. Her tactic card, which I'll be bringing to shut down some enemy effects, is very strong.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited about that. And then my last pick, I had kind of a flexible spot. Some people will bring Luke Cage here for extra defense, but I didn't go that route. I went someone who kind of brings the best of everything, Little Miss Marvel, and her giant in Biggin form.
Yeah.
And so she is just very strong at mobility. She has a character throw, and I'll show you some tactics with her, but her ability to transform into her large form, move a couple times, and then transform again lets her cover significant distance on the map.
Absolutely. That's cool. A lot of good mixed characters there that I like. So, other tactics cards, what else you got there?
Yeah,
rocking with these guys. You mentioned a few other ones. I'm curious if they're in your list or not.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, I brought Avengers Assemble and Ricochet Blast and Helios Laser Bombardment for Iron Man. My restricted cards, I'm bringing Brace for Impact and Patch Up. Just really good, avoiding Hulk getting thrown into people and taking damage, and then also trying to heal them up. I'm bringing Second Wind as well. It's an Avengers card that lets each character remove 1 power. And I'm bringing...
damage?
Or 1 damage, yeah, for the cost of 1 power. And stun as well if you happen to have it.
Which is huge.
I'm bringing some crises that might do some damage to me and spread it amongst my team. So, you know, it's a bit of a tech one there.
Yep.
And then I'm bringing No More Mutants for Scarlet Witch.
Yep.
And Bird of Prey for Sam Wilson. And this lets him add 3 dice against a character with flight and reroll any number of dice.
So good.
There's a lot of good characters out there, like Dr. Voodoo, Magneto, which might come up today.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, Scarlet Witch. They're all characters that it would be really nice if Sam Wilson could put some damage into them.
Yep.
And then I'm also bringing Smash. Smash lets my size 4 characters destroy a size 3 piece of terrain and add dice. The obvious choice is Hulk, but not so obvious. Miss Marvel, when she transforms, turns into a size 4 character. And so her ability to throw some punches could be interesting.
Yeah. Beast is size 3 himself.
Size 3,
too.
yeah.
So like he could destroy like a size 2 car and still add a couple of dice to it too. If he was in the list with nobody else, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Had the opportunity to present himself.
It's not the end of the world if he needs to put some damage through.
100%.
And then my last generic card is Recalibration Matrix. It really helps Hulk survive those big spike turns.
100%. That is cool. A lot of neat stuff here, and I'm kind of afraid of how it's going to play out. So I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, no, it should be fun. So for Crises here, what I'm going to be bringing to the table, I'll move my models back a bit here. If you notice, a lot of these characters have a very high physical defense, and so some of my crises are going to be themed based on that. So the 2 that come to mind are Mutant Madmen, which lets me run around and flip with my physical defense, and then also Skrulls Infiltrate World Leadership. This new update, you roll your physical defense when you pick them up, and it pushes you if you don't roll a crit or a wild. So on 18 points, for example, I could bring Hulk and Beast and
Cap and
Iron Man. And then I need 2 more threat. I could bring Black Widow for that. She's got 3 physical and is really mobile.
Yep.
And maybe if I'm playing at 20, I can bring Black Panther.
Yeah.
And it's a really strong team with lots of mobility, lots of displacement, and really high physical defense that can do quite well there.
Absolutely.
So then what I'm also bringing is something to take advantage of all my character throws, Superpowered Scoundrels. And it's the fastest scoring secure in the game, and it really rewards characters who can just run up to points and throw people off cheaply. To try to keep winning them. And I'll show a few tactics that let you be also quite aggressive going into the opponent's side. And then I'm bringing Riot Spark over Extremis. It's a map D, and it has healing when you interact with it. So Avengers have a very strong power game.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm hoping from this that power advantage I get, I can transfer it into some healing and be able to utilize that well.
Absolutely.
So finally, I really do want to play this game fast. And so the extracts I brought in addition to Skrulls are Struggle for the Cube, which has 5 points on the table and again can score quite quickly. And a new one, Paranoia Pummels Populace. This is one where all 4 are set up in the middle, and when you pick it up you take a damage, which ties back into my second win pick. But it also scores an additional point if your character is within 2 of an ally. And with all the bodyguards I have in the list, I usually plan on being within 2 of Captain America often.
Yeah.
So you don't score 1 for each time. You only get it for just one bonus point.
Yeah.
But you can easily be scoring 3 points around on it, which makes it quite fast.
Very nice. I like it. Those are good choices and a solid base for a roster. And nothing that's way out there, you know what I mean? Like, all these guys are in affiliation. And if you're playing Avengers, you would absolutely think these guys come at like, first glance, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And so, like, awesome interactions between the characters just based off of their stats. Awesome interactions with the scenarios or the crises, as well as your tactics cards. But that's not all. You got some other little tidbits you want to share as well, right?
Yeah, so there's a couple tidbits here. On my secures, so for Mutant Madmen and Superpowered Scoundrels, there's a couple interesting plays that you can look at making on turn 1 to try to score some extra points. So on Mutant Madmen and Scoundrels, Hulk and Beast, because of their base size and movement, Beast being medium base, medium move, he has the ability to basically double move and get himself all the way over to your opponent's Mutant Madmen.
And these are actually set up to the distances apart, these tokens, just so you guys know as well.
So for him, with Mutant Madmen, he can roll 4 physical defense, and scoring 2 out of 4 to flip it, even if an opponent's on it, isn't super difficult. I think the odds are quite good in the 70% range.
Yeah.
And then Hulk on his base can do the same thing. He can get himself quite far, and then has the option to use a card like Avengers Assemble, or can just use his Gamma Leap for 2 power and be able to flip a Madman point.
Yeah.
Or if he uses Assemble, he can get to this far Scoundrels point and throw somebody off it.
Yeah.
So he's got the ability to really get across the board as well.
That's awesome.
Maybe don't want to put him in danger against a really scary team, but if they're a little more pillow-fisted and it's near the end of the round.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
So Hulk also has some fun plays on Skrulls here. These are normally in the middle of the board.
Yeah, so these ones over here, just so you can see.
Yeah. But Hulk has the ability with his move to actually go and grab your opponents. And this is the same distance as the new Senator's Crisis as well. But when Hulk is able to pick up the opponents, because under Steve his Gamma Leap only costs 2 power instead of 3, he would have the ability to Gamma Leap with the extract back to safety.
Which is nice.
Yeah. And what's critical is when you can do that and be, in front of a character and within range 2, it avoids some common things like deception, which would prevent you potentially from getting one of those center extracts.
100%.
So those are some of the kind of interesting plays. On Mutant Madman, Black Panther with his long move also has the ability to double move and try to flip a point. So there's potential, depending on the point values, to have some very aggressive characters on both sides, and just be able to go out to that advantage early and try to score out the game before everyone dies.
I like it. I like it. That is super cool. Do you have anything else you want to talk about with your roster? Does that cover about it for the roster itself?
Yeah, I think that covers it for the roster. The only other thing I'll show you quick is how good Miss Marvel's movement really is.
Absolutely.
So she gets to spend 3 power and embiggen, which allows her to place within 1.
Yeah.
Right? So she all of a sudden becomes very large.
Yeah.
This distance here is even longer than a small move that all of a sudden she covers. So being able to do that and then get into attack range, she can really threaten a lot of places.
Range 3 or 4 with her?
Range 3 on her embiggen.
Yeah, okay. Range 4 when small 4.
So then she also has the ability to then move medium, and then she can move medium again, right?
And there she is.
And maybe she can Avengers Assemble, right?
Yeah. And do something else.
And then
you're now moving her off of the board, the camera. Like you can just see her base up there, so that's hilarious.
Yeah. So
and even then, like maybe she has the power to grab an objective over there, throw somebody off of an objective, and or push or whatever. She does have a throw.
Yeah, she has the throw on her healthy side, so that's a bit of a trick. Is when you embiggen her, you can't throw after that.
Yeah.
But she does have the ability to interact within range 2 of objectives.
Nice.
So she can really, on those Mutant Madmen, when she needs to run across the board, she really has the ability to get there. It's pretty deceptive for that little small base medium move, how far she can actually get.
That's super cool, dude. That's super cool. Well, Curtis, I appreciate you showing your roster and chatting about the tactics that you have behind this roster, which is really, it's like a core roster. Like when you think about everybody or the majority of models that you have in this, like Hulk, first wave. Iron Man, Cap, Black Widow, first wave. Black Panther, early wave. Yeah. I want to say like third wave because I think it was like Asgard, or was it Wakanda then Asgard? I can't remember, but like early on. Vision was fairly early on. And then you start going into like Beast, I think was year 1 of releases. So like you have a lot of these guys that have been out a while. And it's cool to see that they still are very effective in the game and can be super effective, right? So thank you very much for showing your roster. I'll go over and show you mine next. Jumping over to my side of the rosters now for this tactics video, I am going with Brotherhood. So you cannot have Brotherhood without Magneto. Magneto is the main focus, in my opinion, of any Brotherhood roster due to the fact of, he has, I think, amazing leadership, not to discount Mystique's, because her leadership is really good too, because it's such an objective-based leadership. It's really cool. But there's some plays with this aggressiveness in this roster off of his, like the new Sabertooth Apex Predator gets a ton of power, or can get a ton of power off of this, and can put out a ton of damage. And Juggernaut also can destroy terrain religiously and hand out a ton of power. There's throws with Scarlet Witch and other characters like that. So like is the center point, and is just devastating. Range 3 attacks that can push, or if you're within 2 of him, he's re-rolling all dice that aren't failures, or any dice that aren't failures, and it's 6 power as well, right? Or 6 dice as well. And then his throws, like you spend a power for each size that you throw, and then if it's excessive or continuous throws, you add an additional power onto that. So first one, if it's size 4, you spend 4. Next one, if it's size 2, you spend 3, right? And so you can throw a ton of stuff and just put out a ton of damage with him. He's a beast. Yeah. He's pretty durable in as well, as long as he has that power, because he uses the helmet to use his mystic defense for that. So we got obviously Magneto. Second leader is Mystique here. Mystique is my second leader, so she's a 3 threat. And so like specifically, she's here for more of the objective plays. So when you interact with a extract objective once per turn, you gain that power back after you interact with it, so it opens up other things. So like Juggernaut can run across the board and then like grab an extract from the other side and run backwards short. When you interact with a secure objective, you can place a token in there and it's considered to be yours while nobody else is there. But as soon as an enemy moves within is it 2 or
I think it's contests it.
Oh, as soon as it contests, yeah. It's removed. So, but it allows you to sort of move up the board and sort of apply that forward pressure. So those are my 2 leaders. Again, thinking big hitters. I've mentioned them already. We do have a Juggernaut. He is a beast. I absolutely love Juggernaut. He's super durable, high mystic defense, pretty good physical defense, average energy defense at 3, but he can reduce every point of damage that he takes by 1 by spending a power. So, and I think actually, was it you, the first time I played you with Juggernaut, you're like, oh, he can run right across the board by using his short push. And I'm like, no, you can only use it once around. And he's like, and Curtis was like, yeah, no. You knew more than once. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. It was in it was in the A-Force match.
Yeah, excuse me. When Juggernaut gets flipped and wakes up with a character throw and 10 power for the ability to push himself 3 or 4 times across the board.
That's
and then
huge.
Move and punch someone. I mean, he almost becomes a better scenario and extract chaser even more than his killiness. It's really interesting. It's unexpected, but he really has some great scenario plays that can be unexpected.
Absolutely, and we'll talk more about him when we get into the tactics cards too, because I brought a couple of tactics cards to get him into places where I want him to be, and to give him even more board control. So another big hitter, just like Curtis, I also have Scarlet Witch here. She's just, again, a huge amount of damage output and throwing terrain, which, again, gives people power. She can throw up to size 4 terrain once per turn, so it's super awesome. And it unlocks that Magneto leadership. And again, damage. This is all about, let's get the damage in there and let's start just wrecking face. So going into the 4 threat characters now. So I went into my 2 leaders and my other 2 high threat characters. Going into my 4 threat characters now, we have Rogue. So I have Rogue here. Rogue is great. So again, she's durable. She's 4/3/3 for her defenses. She's 6 stamina on both front and back. But because of her Kree mutant physiology, she reduces damage suffered by 1 to a minimum of 1. So that's really good. It gives you that endurance capability. So you can hopefully take a bit of extra damage and yet still hand it out. Because her basic spender is a 5-die, or builder, not spender, is a 5-die, but it can be energy or physical. So you can sort of use that to target your enemy's lowest defense and focus on that, and you're absorbing power. So here we are again. If she's loaded with power, she's throwing size 4 terrain. She can do her Southern Hospitality and throw characters even, so she has a bit of board control there. She could steal power from people, so if you want to mitigate their usefulness, you can use the mutant absorption and hopefully steal a bunch of their power and stuff like that and leave them sort of without none. Or if they have none and you use it, you can actually deal extra damage to them. So there's a ton of damage availability in her as well. And she also has a charge, so she's actually mobile and cost efficient in her actions that way. Because of her charge, she doesn't have to use, she can use an action to get part of the way to where she needs to be, and then another action to get to wherever and deliver an attack as well. And then hopefully through the sap power and the damage that she's dealt, maybe then she can throw, some terrain at somebody or whatever. The next 4 threat character that I have is Sabretooth Apex Predator. I've been playing a bit, and I say a bit, 3 or 4 games now. I should say actually 5 or 6, because one day there was 4 games where 3 games I should say where I used him at a tournament, 3 of the 4 matches. But Apex Predator, oh my goodness, is all I gotta say about him. Him and Logan have just spiked, and so Apex Predator, 7 stamina on the front, 6 on the back, 4/3/4 for defenses, so nothing too bad. A lot of damage for 4 threat, or stamina, which is nice. Yep. He has a claw slash with pierce and a bleed, so pierce is fantastic because you can lower that your opponent's defenses when you get that wild. And then you have your bloodthirsty onslaught, which has a place and a pierce and a bleed as well. It's range 3, and you get placed within 1 of your target, which is good because it can put him into a better position to do the other stuff that he wants to do when he has the power, which he will when you put him with Magneto and Juggernaut or Scarlet Witch or Rogue, or somebody that can destroy terrain easily. And you can do Primal Pounce, which is when he throws himself at somebody. Medium, he's size 3, so the person's going to be taking 4 points of damage unless they have brace, but you only get that once a game, you know what I mean? Or they're really good at dodging.
Yeah, it's like a charge that doesn't require an action.
Yeah, that's exactly
it. You want to move and do damage to someone and then attack them twice after?
Huge. But wait, that's not all. If you have the power afterwards, you still have your catch runt, and you're throwing a size 3 character, medium as well, right? So now you're throwing a character, displacing him off an objective, or throwing it into another character for that maximizing the damage. I had great success against him, or with him, against a Guardians list at the tournament where my opponent had Ghost Rider. And so in a single turn, Sabretooth got rid of Nick Fury, Star-Lord and Ghost Rider, who then Ghost Rider used Deal with the Devil and got rid of a healthy rocket on the back point. But Ghost Rider didn't activate at that point in time, so it wasn't like I was giving him another activation. But he literally got rid of 3 characters off the board in that one go because he did the throws, throwing Ghost Rider into Star-Lord. His attacks into Nick Fury, and then just the damage from the throws and everything got Ghost Rider as well. So it was pretty crazy. I personally, he also has a Stop Squealing and Die, which is something that allows you to boost the damage that you have or can output with your attacks with him. I like to do this personally with his Claw Slash, so his builder, because then you can hopefully build up that much more power back, which then will unlock your throws and such and your pounces. I don't generally do it on Bloodthirsty Onslaught. I use that if I need him to get into position for something else. But I usually, like, if I obviously have the power and I can't throw somebody into somebody else or don't need to displace them for whatever reason, then I might use it on that, but usually it's on the builder to try to build up more power with that. So, and obviously healing factor, so that's great. So now he has a ton of stamina, and he heals one at the end of every round. We got Pyro, or for my 3-pointers, I got Pyro. So incinerates to lower people's defenses and hand out those incinerates and play the objective game later on. You can also hand out Root and Slow, which is great. You can add dice to his attack rolls during the next attack action. So if you do his beam, 3, his flame jet, it's 4 dice normally, gains 1 power after each attack is resolved and adds an incinerate on a wild. You can do Stoke the Flames for 3, and now it is a 6-die beam, 3 on everybody. You have fire manipulation as well, which is really nice because when this character targets an enemy character with an attack after the attack is resolved, if the target character has an incinerate condition, special condition, this character may choose another enemy within 2 of the target character, and that chosen character gains the incinerate. What I like, though, is that both of these stacks, so like all of his incinerates that he gives out are all after the attack is resolved, and so is this fire manipulation. Sorry.
Yeah, so if you throw his beam, for example,
and incinerate multiple people.
Yeah, well, on the first attack, if you incinerate the character on the first attack,
you give it to the next person.
The next person
that's right.
To attack before
and that's
you
what
attack them.
I was just rereading the bottom one to be on the safe side, but it's like you can, because you have the order of operation, right? Yeah. So you're always able to give out like 2 incinerates if they're within close proximity to each other. Hand those out. So he's awesome. I then have Blob. I threw him in there because he has a ton of pushes and board control for the big guy. He also can throw size 3 terrain, which adds into Magneto's side of things as well. And then also it's durable because he can also reduce damage and then push people away when they're within 3. So he has some board control with the pushes, and the durability is really nice. I then added in Gambit because I think Gambit as another size 3, again, trying to stick to in affiliation. Gambit has, with a ton of power, can, with his beam, 52 pickup, where wilds count as 2. Yeah. If you can empower that using it is accelerated charge or accelerate charge. It's now 7 power to do, but this is a good place for him to be aggro like that, I think. And then you're now at also doing a beams 4 with 7 dice, and wilds count as 2 is really good. So.
I mean, especially if the turn before all those characters in the beam got incinerated.
Yes,
it can add up.
And that's what this is about, is the damage, right? Yeah. Just trying to put that damage on people. So like, it's really good. And then for the objective play, my 2-point character is Toad because of the ability to jump around, interact with objectives from range 2, and slip back with Slippery after being targeted by an attack. He gets to advance medium and move out of range like that. So, but he also has some synergies with Blob, which we'll get into here in a second. Crises, again, I'm trying to go with hammers for the extra damage. I'll just put that there. I got hammers for the extra damage, Montesi formula for a mystic attack, and they're beam 3 6 dice, but it also keeps you central, which is key for the damage output, and then research station attack, which is also central based, right? Because I want to be nice, I want to keep you close so I can just obliterate you is the idea, right?
Yes.
So those are my extracts. For my secures, I got gamma waves. Same thing applies. I want you nice and close to do attack. I have Mutant Madmen in here. That was mostly because of the physical defenses on some of these characters and such that I can play into that. And I liked the higher point cost. Really, besides that, there's no other reason for me to have this one. I probably could look at like Demons Downtown as another secure instead of Mutant Madmen, but I'm like, in case I wanted to flex into, you know, Mystiques, I threw that one in there as well. So if it came up. And then I got sword based because they're all nice and close to the center. So everybody is nice and close. I don't like the push, but I like that everybody is nice and close, and so I can just jump on you with people. So those are my secures. Tactics cards here, talking about these characters. So Pyro, when he incinerates somebody, he can play Pyrotechnics. He pays X number of power. For each power spent, he can choose a enemy character holding a extract token within 3 of him. Each character that has the incinerate token within 3 of him that he chooses then drops an objective token it is holding and is pushed short away from Pyro. So board control and objective dropping. You cannot go wrong with that card. So we got that.
For such a killy team, it's unreal that you have some of the best extract and scenario plays.
Huge, dude. I like it. Yeah. Out of action attack with Sabretooth for extra damage. We got Happy Birthday Runt, so the defending character does not benefit from cover. It's a 6-die attack at range 3. Enemy characters cannot use any reactive superpowers or reactive team cards or tactics cards during this attack. And if it targets Logan, any version of him, either version of him I should say, he drops all objective tokens it's holding as well. So that's like, if you're playing cubes and Logan has a couple, guess what? You play that into Logan and he drops those all of a sudden, right? And becomes something else. It costs 3 power to do, so that's not, and the person has to be activated, so it's not a bad thing. So extra damage and objective play, I'll take it.
And it doesn't have to be Sabretooth's turn.
No, which is big. No, it's any an active, as long as you are active, it's at any point, right? So even if Wolverine or a character ends an activation within 3 of Sabretooth, and then you have the next activation, guess what? There you go. Here's some damage, right? Leapfrog is the next card that I got for Toad and Blob. So what it is if an allied Toad deals damage, which doesn't always happen, but he can hand out Incinerate, which gives things to people, right? If he does deal damage, though, Blob and Toad spend a power each, and then Blob advances short and makes a strike action. So it's a reactive, obviously will happen on Toad's activation, but it gives Blob an extra strike out of that for the extra damage. There is a point behind of all of this, and he gets to move. So if he was pushed by something or thrown or whatever, which actually I don't, you can throw him with a superpower, but not with attacks, Blob. He can get back into position. I got Making a Ruckus with Juggernaut, which is a, if I say want to protect Magneto from an attack or somebody that's squishier, I spend 3 power. Juggernaut is then targeted by an attack. The allied Juggernaut may spend, or sorry, when a character is within 3 of Juggernaut is targeted by an attack, Juggernaut spends 3 power to play this card. After the attack is resolved, a Juggernaut advances towards the attacking character and strikes the targeting the person that target the other character. So it's like a out of action strike, right? So another more damage is what it is. Indomitable for a stopping a push. Because Magneto being pushed short, it just always feels so sad. So yeah, or a throw as well.
Or thrown medium, thrown long. Yeah, right? He doesn't want to spend his turn moving. That's for sure.
No, not at all. You want him to be doing damage. I have the Deception play for Mystique, which is huge. If you're not within 2 of another allied character, and Mystique's within 4 of you, you play this card, and she can advance you your speed, which is huge because if somebody has an objective in the middle of nowhere, nobody supporting them, all of a sudden I can can use that, pull you towards me, jump on you, steal that objective, is the idea. So we got that for Mystique. Again, that's more of an objective play, but could also lead to some fun damage output. I have Magnetic Refraction, which is good because it just gives you the cover while you're within range 3 of Magneto, and this card never goes away if you're playing with a Brotherhood affiliation, which is really nice. So,
yeah, and I mean, it's stacking on top of all those damage reduction effects that you talk about.
Yeah.
It makes all of these characters even harder to kill.
That's it. That's it.
Such a crucial card on those condensed scenarios.
I like it. And I think is it always on? No, they gain cover. What one is always on? There's one that's always on. I can't remember. Somebody always have. Maybe it's Rocket always has cover.
Yeah,
right?
Rocket always has cover.
Juggernaut again. Okay, Juggernaut is going to be a main theme of this force. I have Do You Know Who I Am? So he can spend 3 power, and he can interact with a terrain feature or an enemy character that's size 4 or less within 2 of him and throw him long. So like, you are gone out of here. You are throwing long. I can throw you into somebody else, throw you off an objective away, or throw you back even towards like my allies to then jump on you, right? So so it's awesome. And then lastly but not least, I have Asteroid M to get whoever I need where I need them to wreck face. You know, Juggernaut runs across the board into a bunch of people, you know, gets enough power to do an attack. Next turn, Magneto activates. Magneto wants to jump up there and just wreck face. Guess what? That card's going to get him there where he needs to be, as long as they don't have an objective token themselves. So
yeah, and it makes Brotherhood very strong, even when you're running Magneto on a wide scenario.
Yeah.
You know, he can go obliterate people on one side of the board, and then just like that, he's right on the other doing the same thing. It's
absolutely.
Yeah, it gives Brotherhood a lot of flexibility, even in Magneto's leadership.
Yeah, and just bouncing off of some of the things that Curtis was talking about earlier during his stuff, like Juggernaut here, like when he's on this side of the board, he can easily get to the other side, steal an objective, come back. You know what I mean, with like a double move or an advance up. He can pull other people up with him. Like there's a ton of movement shenanigans there. Sabretooth, if he has the power, the exact same thing. 2 medium moves, get up to a good location and jump back if he needs to, or jumps further, right? So like he has some movement abilities as well. So it's really good. But yeah, that is my roster and the tactics behind it, and the idea is mostly damage output with some ability to play scenarios that aren't going to be favorable to high damage. But yeah, so let us know what you guys think about these tactics videos if you would like to see them more. I have an idea that if you guys have a tactics video idea that you would like to see on the channel and battle report to follow, let us know in the comments as well. If you're like, oh, I really want to see like how this plays out on the board and a specific roster or whatever, let us know and we can try it out. Just comment below. So yeah, I guess without further ado, check out Torchlight Games and Hobbies, and the link in the description of the video below. Use the code FIRE5, save yourself 5% off your hobby supply needs. Also, if you like the content, support us through our Patreon page. I would greatly appreciate it. So please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, ignite your hobby.